Hey everyone, and welcome back from mapping out the whole Solana ecosystem. Today, in this explainer from the Foundry by Forge College, we are shifting gears. We're returning to Bitcoin fundamentals to basically demystify Nakamoto consensus. Now, I know Nakamoto consensus sounds like the title of some dense, confusing spy thriller, but I promise you the reality is actually way more fascinating. We're going to look at exactly how a decentralized network keeps its integrity completely intact, without a CEO, without a central bank, and without some giant pause button. So grab your hard hats, because we are about to do some heavy lifting. We'll break down the physical constraints, the crazy economic games being played behind the scenes, and this incredibly delicate balancing act that literally keeps the whole system from falling apart. All right, so here are the structural schematics we're running through today. 1. Welcome to the town. 2. The Nakamoto blueprint metaphor. 3. The liveness versus safety trade-off. 4. Surviving a network partition. And finally, 5. The centralization feedback loop. Let's jump right into section 1. Welcome to the town, grounding concepts. We're going to start by bringing these highly abstract network concepts down to earth, into an everyday reality. Because, let's be honest, staring at raw hash rate distribution tables is a fantastic cure for insomnia. Nakamoto consensus isn't just some abstract mathematical puzzle. It's a massive economic game. The security basically relies on making history simply too expensive to rewrite. Think about that for a second. We aren't securing this network purely with impassable firewalls or magical encryption. We're securing it by making bad behavior wildly, ridiculously unprofitable. An attacker wanting to rewrite accepted blocks has to physically expend a majority of the network's proof of work. Moving right along to section 2, the Nakamoto blueprint metaphor. Let's try and visualize this ledger. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at it like an engineering blueprint. Imagine a town. Okay? And in this town, the public ledger is this giant, heavy bulletin board right in the middle of the town square. Rotating guards basically take turns posting signed pages up onto the board. Every time a new page is pinned up, the townspeople treat it as the official record. Now, this perfectly illustrates how our blueprint maps directly to technical reality. The guards in our little town, those are the miners. The messenger speed, like how fast word travels through the crowd, that's the network's propagation delay. And what if two guards try to post conflicting pages at the exact same time? Well, the town tentatively accepts the first one that spreads, but they wait until a few more pages are pinned on top of it before they truly trust it won't be replaced. Those extra pages, that is confirmation depth. Which brings us to section 3, the liveness versus safety trade-off. This is the core tension here. Now we have to introduce the eternal tug-of-war that constantly stresses this blueprint. First up, we have liveness. Think of liveness as the network's pulse. It's the ability of the system to continuously make progress and extend the chain with new blocks. If the messenger network partitions, say a fiber optic cable gets cut and half the town suddenly can't talk to the other half, legitimate pages might not reach everyone, and progress stalls out. Liveness is what keeps the transactions actually flowing. But on the flip side, we have safety. Safety guarantees that once a transaction is buried under enough pages or blocks, the economic cost to replace it is just totally insurmountable. Safety is your peace of mind, right? It's the resistance against having your finalized history reorganized. If the network favors safety over literally everything else, you might end up waiting a really, really long time to be completely sure your transaction is final. So, here is the absolute crucial point, this massive trade-off. Pushing for faster blocks definitely increases liveness because you get more frequent updates. But thanks to physical propagation delays across the globe, those faster messengers start tripping over each other. This creates a high orphan rate. An orphan block is basically a perfectly good block that gets thrown in the trash, simply because another block barely beat it across the finish line. A high orphan rate heavily favors miners who have the absolute fastest, most expensive internet connections, which weakens safety over time. Conversely, longer intervals give you deeper confirmations and way higher safety, but, you guessed it, lower liveness. Let's look at this in action in section 4, surviving a network partition. Time for a structural stress test. Theories are great and all, but these distributed systems operate in a messy physical world where routers fail and connections completely drop. Picture this starting state. Imagine a network split geographically. On one side, you have Pool A controlling 35% of the total network hash rate. On the other side, Pool B has 30%, and a super decentralized group of smaller independent miners makes up the remaining 35%. In a perfect world, they're all communicating seamlessly. But what happens if they suddenly can't? Let's walk through a transient partition. Step 1, the network geographically divides. Maybe a massive routing failure totally isolates region A from region B. Step 2, both regions are now blind to each other, so they just keep building their own separate chains. Pool A is happily mining away, and Pool B is doing the exact same thing. Step 3, the internet is fixed and the network finally reunites. Step 4 is where the math just gets absolutely brutal. Pool A's slight 35% hash power advantage means they were generating blocks just a tiny bit faster. So when they reunite, Pool A's chain is longer. And the rules of Nakamoto consensus are absolute. The longest chain wins, no exceptions. Pool B's shorter chain is ruthlessly orphaned, and all those transactions have to get dumped right back into the queue. Okay, on to our final piece, Section 5, the centralization feedback loop and the economic incentives behind it. This partition scenario brings us straight to the human element. Physical network limitations directly influence the economic incentives of the people participating. Remember, miners aren't robots, they're literal businesses with massive electricity bills. So ask yourself, if you are a small miner in Region B and your blocks keep getting orphaned due to network latency, what on earth do you do to survive? You've spent thousands on hardware, you finally find a block, and then bam, it's orphaned because a huge pool in Region A beat you by 2 seconds. It is financially devastating. The answer is pretty obvious. You join a pool. As a small independent miner, your income is just a completely unpredictable, stressful roller coaster. But if you connect to a massive pool, you get to leverage their ultra-fast infrastructure and actually share in consistent, steady revenue. It is a perfectly logical, rational economic choice. But systemically, it creates a really dangerous feedback loop where the big pools just keep getting bigger, pulling in small miners and centralizing the power. Now, as a network operator, you don't even have to guess when this is happening. The vital signs literally flash red in real time. You're going to see elevated orphan rates, frequent chain reorganizations, and sudden, weird latency spikes. These are the exact telemetry symptoms of a network that's under serious centralization pressure. So why does any of this matter to you as a user? Well, because as economic gravity pulls miners into these centralized pools, the overall safety of your transactions inevitably drops. If just a handful of large pools control the vast majority of the network, the economic cost to rewrite history, like to perform a deep reorganization, absolutely plummets. The guards in our town metaphor, they're no longer independent. They're wearing the exact same uniform and taking orders from the exact same captain. I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up. How robust is a decentralized system really if the physical constraints of the internet and basic economic incentives naturally pull it towards centralization? It is the ultimate balancing act of Web3. To keep this network secure, you've got to constantly tune the parameters to fight back against that economic gravity. You can explore this exact vulnerability, dive way deeper into mining mechanics, and map out these incentive structures in our upcoming courses over at Forge College. Keep questioning those structural schematics, guys, and I will see you in the next explainer.